around 2015, I was going through a pretty tough time and I was having thoughts of suicide. I was working in a toxic environment and I didn't recognize it to be that. I thought it was all me. And I had this one friend who, I guess, he just realized something and he wasn't pushy. He just would check in. And finally one day he called and I was just in a particularly shitty spot that day. And when he called, I just broke down and started crying and I told him everything. A lot of people who are struggling with thoughts of suicide, they're desperate for somebody to ask them because thoughts of suicide are really scary. And for a lot of people, it's not quite that they want to die. It's that they're in a lot of pain. Sometimes it's as easy as realizing that you're not alone and you're not crazy and your life is not over.
The conversations behind these doors are not what you think.
Engine 4, residential fire.
Engine 313, engine 311, engine 3.
People think they know what firefighters run into. They almost never see what we carry home. The public sees the response. This show is about the costs.
Curiosity catches us all. There is much more.
Season 1 brought to you by Spoke. Learn more at spokemovie.com.
Okay, hi everybody. We're live here in Iowa, and we're at the
FRCE
First Responder Center for Excellence Mental Health Symposium.
Yeah.
I've said that like every time perfectly, but then when Frank was sitting in this chair, I just
Frank makes people nervous.
stuttered.
He's very demanding.
Yes.
I hope this is on camera.
It is.
Yes.
All of it is on camera.
It is true.
So I'm Amy, and
I'm Greg.
and you are
Dena.
Dena Ali, and it's just such an honor to meet you. And we've listened to you talk on podcasts. And
Oh, cool.
we're
Yes.
just big fans.
Oh, thank you.
And so for those who don't know, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how
Should
you
I look
got
at the
here?
camera?
Or you
No,
can talk to
just
us, it's
we're
fine.
yeah, we
Yeah.
can, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so it's weird because you kind of want to look at the camera, but then because we're having a conversation. Yeah, my name's Dena Ali. I'm a Battalion Chief with the City of Raleigh Fire Department. I've been with them for 18 years. Fun fact, I was a police officer first. But then the show rescued me. On season 2, they had a female.
They did.
And that was when I realized that Frank Lieb is walking
Someone
up.
is
What is,
photobombing.
What are we doing? You guys talking about this?
No, I'm
Videobombing.
introducing myself.
You know who wrote the forward of this book? Did you get to that yet?
No.
Frank Lieb did.
Yeah, I read it.
Yeah.
Frank Lieb, for those of you.
Although-
who
Yeah,
can't
there's
hear
actually
it.
2 forwards
Although there's
because
two forwards, 'cause
Two
one
forwards.
wasn't good enough.
because one wasn't good enough. No, the truth was I sent both Frank and Steve an email, and I did not think either would say yes. So I was kind of stressed out because the book was done, and I was like,
You're hedging.
yes.
So
And
listen, when you you'll see after you watch the first podcast, number 1, you'll see that she interrupted because this is probably like number 6, maybe 5, but then you'll see why I had to come in here. But check out the book, read the forward. See you later.
see you.
Thank you.
See you. Bye, Frank.
I'll see you later.
Hey, there's Brandon.
I know. I already said hello.
Ah. All right.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Raleigh.
season 2,
Season
Raleigh.
2.
Yeah, they had a female, and that was the first time I knew that women could be firefighters. And I'd been a police officer 5 years at that point, and I was starting to feel kind of burned out. And firefighting, just as a police officer, the firefighters always seemed to be happy, and the job seemed to be really cool. Like they showed up, they fixed things, and then they left, and I was jealous. So I applied for the fire department, got hired,
And never look back.
never looked back.
And which one's a better job?
Firefighting, definitely. The only thing that I do look back at now that I'm close to retirement is I didn't realize I gave up separation pay, which is an amazing benefit that police officers in North Carolina get that firefighters don't get. But outside of that, I've never looked
There's
back.
no way to like go back and
So, no, it's something we on the fire side are fighting for
okay.
because it's a benefit that it basically holds you over to your 65. It's just an extra benefit that they give law enforcement. Law enforcement today is still seen as being like one step above firefighting, but they look at firefighting the way firefighters were, 50 years ago when all we did was go to fires
Right.
not hazmat technicians, rescue technicians, emergency medical technicians to paramedics. Like, we do so much more now. It's really changed a lot.
I jokingly still tell all of the officers we work with that they're the first responders, we're second. So, but you don't have to call us
Yeah, no,
every
that's so true.
time you need to
Well,
take somebody to jail.
And they have Narcan now, and they race to give Narcan,
Oh,
and it's really
they
annoying.
get awards for CPRs. They got all sorts of stuff. It's great. It's perfect. And I also tell them after that, I'm like, but we are hiring.
Yes. No, I mean, it truly, like, firefighting is way better than law enforcement.
Yeah.
So
I can't imagine being
yeah,
second
you
to car
speaking from
myself. Yeah.
no, law enforcement is aggravating because one of the biggest things I remembered was that everybody lies. Victims lie, witnesses lie, criminals lie, and it really makes you not like people. So I was at the point where I was really starting to become like callous and not
Like a
have the
little
same
bit
passion.
cynical.
Oh, definitely cynical, because you don't know who to trust. You're trying to help people, and the people you're trying to help are making it hard to help them. So
We
But I-
have something similar in the fire service.
I was gonna
though,
say, when
too.
you guys go to visit a home and it's like, what
Multiple
happened here?
times. We come
And they're like,
multiple times, or we see
Yeah.
the same.
yeah, the people who need to call 911 don't, because they don't want to bother us. And those are people you want to help. But then people call for the most amazing things. And it's just like, you have to keep a smile. Here, I feel like we need to do a public campaign for self-cleaning ovens. Are you experiencing that? We've been dispatched to a lot of fires, and it's just the self-cleaning oven.
when they put on that
Oh,
setting.
because all the
Because the-
smoke comes out.
Because the
it's
oven's
burning
really
off.
dirty, and you actually have to like get the food out before you do the self-cleaning.
Maybe they just need a
But they
sticker on
can't
front
get the
saying-
food out because it's like stuck in there.
Yeah.
You-
So it's so
you-
funny.
It's called cleaning. But,
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
we-
We're really off track already.
yeah, very far off track, but that's okay.
Well, there is no track. I mean,
Okay.
it's
That's the best
just, we want you to, like, talk about your book and
Yeah.
And before I go too deep into myself, just because he's sitting there,
yeah.
do not let him leave without interviewing him tomorrow.
Okay.
That's Brandon. He's one of our speakers.
Hi.
Brandon Dryman.
Okay.
Everybody on here will know who he is. He's brilliant.
Okay. And I should say, because you don't know this, I am not in the fire service. I'm General Jump Pop.
I wouldn't have guessed.
And so we're hoping to open the aperture so that people that, rather it just all being kind of inside baseball,
Yeah.
sausage making, for everyone to understand things. And so if I stop and say, well, what is that, an acronym? Or
Right.
you'll
Yeah.
know.
But Brandon talks a lot on sleep and substance use disorder. So he's a gem.
Yeah.
Speaking of my book and Brandon, he actually wrote a couple of chapters in my book so this book is Hope Out of Darkness, A Guide to First Responder Mental Wellness. The title, I stole 2 titles to make one. So one of my favorite books was The Beauty of a Darker Soul. So initially I wanted to call it Finding Light Within the Darkness, a play off of that book, but there were already multiple books with that title. And are any of you guys Brené Brown fans?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love Brené Brown. So do you...
Blame is just pain leaving the body.
That's right. Have you heard her talk about hope and how it's a function of struggle, and that it's not an emotion, it's actually a cognitive process?
Yes.
And it requires like belief pathway and then resilience. Like you have to have a pathway. So know you want to get from A to B. You have to believe in yourself. And then you have to have resilience when there's setbacks. And with hope, we can really overcome anything. And it is a function of struggle, because the more you struggle, the more you build the hope muscle. So when I couldn't use the Finding Light Within the Darkness, I said, well, let's get hope out of darkness. So that's the title of the book. It is broken down into 3 parts. And it really, so Brandon and I both, we've been just heavily involved in mental wellness for first responders for over a decade. And when we first got involved, there wasn't a lot of information out there. And then, of course, the awareness came to where you're hearing people say we're victims and nobody should see what we see and we're all going to be damaged and have PTSD. And then people are sharing their trauma stories, but there wasn't a lot of good information on, okay, we know we're going to be exposed to trauma, so what do we do? And so we've been doing the work for a long time, and we've been researching, we've been trying to get information out. And I was getting really tired because a lot of people were emailing me, hey, I'm starting a peer support team. What do you suggest? Or, hey, this. So I decided, let me try to put everything I know into a book. So then as I was writing it, I started going down, just, reading Brene Brown and saying, man, I want to write a chapter on this. So there's actually a chapter on action planning where I talk about that hope. And then I ran into play. I think Brene might have talked about it once. So I read like 3 books on play, and play is really healthy. So firefighters play. Yeah. Basically doing something for the sake of doing it without, without having an objective or without having a goal, but literally doing it for the sake of doing it. Like one of the constructs is purposefulness. Yes. Purposefulness, not worrying about what other people think.
Yes.
If you ride a bike and you cycle and you say that's play, but then you start your app and you track data and you're like, oh, I didn't get 15 miles per hour. That's not play. Yes. It's actually getting on a bike and just going out and finishing when you want, not caring about time. But it was really fascinating, the research, to learn how valuable play was for mental wellness. And, analogy that firefighters can use is we talk about like building instruction and how the strength of a truss requires both tension and compression. So opposite forces. If you take one away, then it all falls apart. Same as work and play. So if it's all work, no play, that's where we end up with burnout. It's where our work starts to suffer. And of course, we know if it's all play, no work, then, well, nothing gets accomplished. But what was
rudderless.
Yeah, what was really fascinating for me as I kept diving into the research was understanding the role plays in building empathy and connection, and even learning about like mass shooters. One of the commonalities they found was their play was restricted as children. And then if you pay attention to animals in the wild, you see like they engage in play and they fight, but it's like they know where to stop because it's play. It's not like real fighting to attack. It is just play. And that's how they develop empathy and relationships. But I went down this whole path down play, and it was just so fascinating to learn how valuable it was. There's a chapter in here on humor, the value of humor and how it just quiets the amygdala. I think today, especially in the fire service, because we are becoming more diverse, and with that, there's also the risk of offending people. So with that is reduction in pranks and jokes. And yeah, like harassment is wrong, hazing is wrong, but humor is not wrong. And sometimes jokes are okay, and sometimes pranks are okay. But what we're seeing is our environments are becoming very sterile. And it was just really fascinating to understand from the research that that's not healthy either.
That's not healthy.
Yeah.
That's right.
So the book's broken down in 3 parts. The first part is just an introduction to mental wellness. Talks about suicide, adverse childhood experiences. Brandon was really knowledgeable on that. He helped me with that chapter. Substance use disorder. That's another chapter he helped write. The middle part is everything we can do to build our resilience and be able to withstand stress. Basically, athletes are going to be exposed to greater physical stress. It doesn't mean they're going to be broken. It means they know how to prepare for that. We as first responders are going to be subject to greater emotional stress. So with that, we've got to do stuff to be able to withstand that pressure. And there's a lot that we can do. So chapter 2, or the middle part, is all of that, talking about sleep, play, journaling, mindfulness, relationships, psychological safety, leadership.
Which is the kitchen table.
The kitchen table, yeah. Frank.
Psychological safety.
Yeah, I know you're probably playing off of Frank. And if you guys can see me, I'm rolling my eyes. Frank's like, I don't like that word, psychological safety. It's the kitchen table. But
could be the back of the bay.
Could be the back of the bay. Could be anywhere.
Could be inside of the cab.
It's just got to be infused everywhere.
Like a safe space.
Yeah. Well, not even a safe space, because people confuse psychological safety with like safe spaces and everybody gets a trophy and not hurting feelings. But what psychological safety truly is creating an environment where it's safe to fail. And with that, you can have high expectations. Psychological safety is not about making it easier and softer.
Accountability.
It's accountability, but it's also letting people know like you believe in them and you see that, man, I see something in you and I'm pushing you because I know you can be great, but also I support you and I'm here for you. And if you make a mistake, it's okay. And if you don't know something, it's okay. Psychological safety is just, there's so much to it.
Yes. I wonder if it's Brene Brown that said something about like, okay, just put on your bulletproof vest. And now I'm going to give you feedback, or I'm going to talk to
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Right. But you've got your bulletproof vest on. So this isn't going to, it's a psychologically safe thing.
Right.
Well, it is an interesting piece because, like, just one example is your safety on the rig. Make sure your bottle's full, make sure your mask works in the first thing in the morning. And that's the first thing you check, because if you didn't check that, you are now the liability, right? Like, because the rest of the crew probably did check it. Hopefully they did. Hopefully the last crew left it full and was ready to go for you. But that's the thing, like I point out, I was like, hey, that bottle, if it's not all the way topped off, that's 2 or 3 more breaths.
Right.
Like, let's start there. And I'm not mad because you missed it, or I'm not mad that the weather
It can
changed.
be up to 20 more breaths.
Yeah. But I mean, it could just be the weather changed, right? The barometer changed, and now that air expanded or contracted. I'm not mad. I'm just saying, hey, top it off. Like, no big deal. Like, that little tiny piece, and it's like the accountability is there when you first start, and then you slowly let it kind of like, what was the term I heard the other day? It was really, really good. It was just about the degrading responsibilities over time, because we've just always kind of done it this way, and then it's kind of like
you lose your humility or something.
No, just like you lose not your readiness, but your accountability. Like, if you do it this way every single time, it's going to be the same every single time, and then all of a sudden you start.
I am actually glad you said that, because
normalization of deviation. That's what I'm thinking of. Normalization of deviation.
So I'm really glad you said that, because when you think about like NASA and Columbia and Challenger, a lot of people talk about like the cause was that normalization of deviance. But as they went deeper into it, it wasn't just that. It was a persistent lack of psychological safety. And with that, there were people that knew things were wrong, but it wasn't okay to speak up. It wasn't okay for the bottom person to say, hey, that's going to hurt somebody, because now you're challenging authority. Yeah, now you're challenging. So NASA, after Columbia, they recognized that persistent lack of psychological safety and what they called a performance culture, where like things had to take off on time. Everything had to be perfect. Not everything had to be perfect, but they had recognized that normalization of deviance. They had flights that had taken off and were successful, even with, foam missing or an O-ring loose. So they didn't worry about it, but they needed to stay on time. They needed to be the first. They needed to beat everybody else, and they lost a lot of astronauts. So after Columbia, they decided to go away from that performance culture to what they called a culture of learning, and embed psychological safety into like every aspect, to where anybody could speak up. And the leaders changed. And one of the major like changes was to speak with candor and ask more questions. Not to say, what the heck, but to say, hey, tell me why you're worried about this, or tell me why you think this will work, and what would happen if you're wrong. And it was just neat to hear that. So like that normalization of deviance and psychological safety, like they're intertwined.
That's a great reframe.
Yeah.
Also just to the, so that's the middle section of the
middle
book.
section.
Yes.
Then the last section is basically a guide to peer support. So in 2017, I founded our North Carolina State peer support team. We stole material from lots of organizations, the IAFF, the Illinois Firefighter Peer Support Team. I was in graduate school, so we pulled all of these resources and we developed our 2-day training, because at the time, to bring in outsiders to conduct the training, it was extremely expensive. And so no organization was paying for the training, so we weren't getting it. So we built our 2-day class. We trained lots of people, and I think ours is the best personally. So the whole third part of the book, I opened up our PowerPoint and I just wrote. So the whole third part of the book is that guide to peer support, and then, expanded here and there on important parts. There's a chapter on potentially traumatic events, and it has a flow chart. So like if you guys run a bad call tomorrow and you're worried about your crew and you don't know what to do, just go to that chapter, go to the flow chart. And what's beautiful about it, going back to the kitchen table, is number one is you guys stay out of service, call home, get together and talk. Like that's step one. And then if you need more, and so there's a flow chart that explains each piece. There's a whole chapter on if you have a member die by suicide. A lot of people don't know what to do. And there's actually some steps to take. And so there's a guide there on those like 6 steps. It's important that you do this, this, and this. So there's a whole chapter on that. And then if you're worried about somebody, there's a whole chapter on how to ask. Are you thinking about suicide? and
Would
you know what
come
to do
out and
next.
just say that?
Sometimes that's what we're trained. We just had training on
Wow.
our peer support, and that's like if you're that worried, ask direct. be
And
direct.
then I guess based on their reaction, it's like you can tell.
Well, and so a lot of people
if
who
you
are
confront them with that.
struggling with thoughts of suicide, they're desperate for somebody to ask them, because thoughts of suicide are really scary. And for a lot of people, it's not quite that they want to die, it's that they're in a lot of pain. And then, especially for us as first responders, we're very solution oriented fixers. So it's really easy to look at suicide as a solution to excruciating emotional pain or
A
repeated
permanent
failures.
solution, though, to a temporary problem.
But when somebody's overwhelmed and stressed, yeah, it's that permanent solution, but they don't see any other option because they think their situation is permanent. And that's why if somebody can ask, it's relief to be able to open up. And then the beauty is, not only is it relief to open up, but now through somebody else, they can find other options. Or sometimes it's as easy as realizing that you're not alone and you're not crazy and your life is not over.
Yes.
Because I think all of us, when we're dealing with stress, in the moment that we're dealing with it, it feels like the worst possible thing. And you can't see the light or hope out of darkness. But all of us, when you look back at those times where you were in a lot of stress, you got through it. And it made you better. Like in the time it sucked. And in like the immediate aftermath it sucked. And you would never do it again. But looking back, there was some value from it. So just having somebody there to like help you with those options and help you to know, like, I know this sucks right now, but you're going to get through this.
I think of it like the wire prop. You guys have a firefighter down wire prop where you like
Oh, yeah.
mask is all covered.
Yeah, you got to swim.
You can swim it through, and there's wires in this box, and you can feel the box, and you feel the wires, and you're getting pulled, and there's this weird claustrophobia that kicks in, and then you're stuck, but you know you're not in danger, but your mind and your body start going into fight or flight mode.
Simulation of danger.
It is, yeah. So the idea is like, oh, if I felt this before, I can move through this, and I know what I'm supposed to do. Right. So that's the training is what we're trying to build. And I think it's almost the same thing in real life. Like when you get to that dark spot and you feel the claustrophobia fitting in, oh, I felt this before. I know what it's like. But sometimes if it's your first time or second time and it's too dark and it's too scary and somebody says, hey, you want to hurt yourself? Like, oh, maybe now I can start pulling myself out, or they're pulling the wire cutters out and help me out. Like it's a lot.
And I mean, just as simple as right after that, like, I really care about you. I'm worried about you. I know you're going through a really hard time. You mind if I hold on to your guns? Just till you get through this really tough time? Because we think that the minute somebody admits that they're having thoughts of suicide or they're struggling, that we should call 911 and we should lock them up. No, if they're not an immediate risk, you shouldn't do that, because that's why people never disclose. That's why people suffer in silence, because they're afraid that you're going to have them locked up.
Right.
So an alternative is empathy, caring, and then, hey, I care about you. I'm really worried about you. Can I hold on to your guns just for a couple weeks till you get through this? Because I'm just worried and I care about you. And that's another thing. People think that if you ask that, people get really defensive, get really angry. But what's amazing is a lot of times people who are having really dark thoughts, they don't want to die. They want their pain to stop. So when you give them that option, they're kind of relieved.
They're like, here you go.
Yeah, it's really a beautiful thing.
It's like so counterintuitive, but
yeah. And I don't want to sit here and say this is the prescription,
right?
And it's 100% effective, because it's not. We're never going to save everybody. Suicide rates in the United States for all populations, not just first responders, has continued to go up. So I'm not going to speak like as if I have all the answers, and if you listen to everything I say, every life will be saved, because that's not true. But we know that we will save lives and we will make a difference.
That's the hardest part for me, is reading the stats that with, all the help and all the stuff we're doing, we're still seeing suicide rates go up in not just the fire service but the whole entire country. It's like, man, what are we doing wrong? What are we missing that we can't, we talk about resiliency, and a lot of people preach it, and I've been to classes, and there's a lot of trauma dumping, and I get it. Like it's working for them, doesn't always work for maybe me, and it's not resonating with me because I don't have your same situation. But like, it is those pieces, like, what are the steps next? Like, how do we build, I think about even my own kids. Like, how do I build resilience in my kids, or show them strife without showing them pain, or understanding that pain is temporary? Or how do you build
Well, they
that?
got to have pain. And it goes back
And
to what we
some
talked about.
adversity too.
Yeah, that's
Right.
it goes back, like, hope is built from struggle. So each time your kids go through something hard, each time they feel pain and then they get through it, they know that they can get through it. So it's not so much putting a bubble around them. Now, granted, you don't want your kids to suffer, of course not. But
I might want my kids to suffer a little.
yeah, but it's about giving them the hope out of darkness. But just knowing that, like, this situation is not permanent. This doesn't define you, right?
Right.
So,
well, speaking of defining you, and we're here at the Symposium, how did you get pulled into this vortex?
So, well, like the whole mental health, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So around 2015, I was going through a pretty tough time and I was having thoughts of suicide. I was working in a toxic environment and I didn't recognize it to be that. I thought it was all me. So I internalized the relationship stressors at work and felt like it was my fault. There was something wrong with me. And no matter how hard I tried to fix it, like, I couldn't fix it, because now, of course, looking back, I knew it wasn't just me. Like, I was in a toxic environment. The sad fact is, not everybody's kind. And
they also lie.
Right. And when people mistreat you, it's not always your fault. And so I went through that situation where I had somebody at work that would not speak to me, that was just cruel. And so every day I came to work hoping that today would be the day we'd run that big call and we'd save lives and we'd all hug it out. But of course, that didn't happen. So every day it was like putting on that fake face of, I'm not going to let anybody see me sweat. But it was exhausting to be mistreated. And so I'd get off work and I remember I'd cry sometimes. Like, as soon as I got in the car, I'd just get in bed. I was depressed. I started pushing family members away. It was just a lot. And ironically, though, I started graduate school out of boredom. We won't get that deep, but I started graduate school and I had an assignment and it was action research. So find an area where current practices are not best practices, research and help develop better practices. So I reached out to our safety officer and asked him for a topic to research. This is fall of 2015. And he replied and said, "Can you look into suicide?" And I was like, holy shit, what does he know? How does he know? But I got into the research and I was so grateful because it was so healing for me, because the first peer-reviewed published research I looked at was a dissertation by Dr. Janet Sabia. That might not have been peer-reviewed. It was just a dissertation, but you know what I'm saying? Like, the first true science research I looked at was a dissertation by Dr. Janet Sabia. And she's the one that everybody quotes that a firefighter is 3 times more likely to die by suicide than in the line of duty, because her dissertation was on firefighter suicide. And she looked at every death certificate of every firefighter in North Carolina, and she compared line of duty to suicide. But what was fascinating was that statistic wasn't the most important piece of her work. She even said that data could be wrong because there was a lot of death certificates that were confidential, sealed. And we knew in the 80s and 90s, if first responders died by suicide, they weren't actually listed as suicide because we didn't want to embarrass their families or, bring shame. So it would be unknown or whatever. But in her research, she actually talked about relationships. She talked about women in the fire service and how difficult it can be. And she talked about, the fear of showing vulnerability and how that can lead to alienation. And so I'm sitting there reading her research and I'm just so connected to it. And it's helping me understand my situation. And that's like, helping to pull me out of my depression, because it's the first time I'm like, wait, number one, it's not just me. Like, I'm not the only person going through this. And this makes a lot of sense. So the research just really connected with me. I also had a really good friend who, I guess he could tell something was wrong because he kept calling me. And at that time, like I said, I was really angry. I was pushing people away because I didn't like myself. So it was just easier to just push people away because I didn't want to admit to anybody like that I was a fraud. Like, that's how I felt. And I had this one friend who, I guess he just realized something, and he wasn't pushy. He just would check in. And finally one day he called, and I was just in a particularly shitty spot that day. And when he called, I just broke down and started crying, and I told him everything. And his response was awesome. He said, "Man, partner, that fucking sucks. I'm so sorry." but I could hear the pain in his voice. Like when he heard how, like what I was going through, it hurt him. And so to hear the pain in his voice made me feel good. Not in that sense, but to know that it hurt him made me realize like that I was of value to somebody and that this pain wasn't my fault. So that was like just truly helpful. And then what was really fascinating was the research kept talking about peer support. So here I was living it, and I lived that peer support. So that's where I started like, okay, we got to start a peer support team. I started writing articles, and I wrote the book, Hope Out of Darkness. It's just getting fun to say it now. Yeah. And I reached out to Frank and asked him if he would write the foreword. So when I reached out to Frank, he was not like a famous dude, but he was just a really, like, I knew Frank. I knew how important to the fire service he was. I knew how smart he was. And it's really funny because I chose him because I wanted somebody to write the foreword that wasn't a famous person. A lot of people have like famous people write their forewords just
for vanity.
Right. And I didn't want to be that person. I wanted somebody of substance to write my foreword. So I picked Frank and Steve Chikarotis because I didn't know that they would say yes. And they both said yes. Like, you've probably never heard of Steve Chikarotis. No, he's another incredible like fire service leader, but he's also so humble that you wouldn't know who he is. He helps produce Chicago Fire, the show.
Nice.
Yeah, but he's a really cool dude. But so Frank read the book, he wrote the foreword, and he then invited me to work for him with the First Responder Center for Excellence as their program manager for behavioral health.
So did you have to relocate and be in New York, or you can do it remote?
It's remote because I still work for the fire department, and then I do this remote.
Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's part-time. It's not a full-time job, but some days it feels full-time.
One thing I wanted to say when you're like, oh, who does that? Who goes to get a graduate degree? I feel like there was something inside of you that just you knew that's what you needed to do.
Yeah,
this feels very like missional and like destined, like you were meant to be the person talking about this stuff because you actually went through it.
Yeah, it was. I think all of it was just crazy how it happened. I ended up giving the paper to that chief, and he asked me to help create a class for our department, and we delivered it. And before we delivered it, he told me he needed help delivering it, and then he admitted why he asked me to research it because he was struggling, and he had called EAP and he got a voicemail, and he said he remembered in that moment he felt like if he can't even help himself, like how can he be our safety chief? And he felt like a failure. So it was just like, I guess I must have emailed him right at the perfect time, and he was like, I need help with this. And so yeah, like it really did all come together, just in ways. I guess life happens.
There are no accidents.
Yeah, it's good to know because going back to pain and suffering and like there are no accidents. Like, yeah,
they're called collisions.
We have super cushy, squishy lives right now.
We do.
It's not how we evolved.
No, it is. It isn't. You're right. Or it is. It is how we evolved. Not the squishy, safe lives, but pain.
The pain made us want to have the squishy, comfy stuff, but now it's like too comfy almost.
That's right.
And then, okay, like maybe the pendulum will swing.
I think every generation tries to make it better for the next or their kids or whatnot. Like, I mean, we couldn't imagine what it'd be like standing in bread lines or being in Europe during bombings or being in Gaza now. Like, I have no idea what that would feel like to live through something like that. I mean, when I feel like my traumas are bad, I'm like, well, there's way worse.
Yeah. Well, and it's fascinating because, like the Buddha said, I think he said this, life is struggle.
Yes.
And you read that and you were like, not always, but then you go through something really shitty and you want to know why it's happening. And then you realize this is life. Like at some point we're all going to like have the struggle and we're going to be suffering and we're going to like want to know why. And then we're going to realize like, no, this is part of life.
Yeah. And I also heard it said, like, when you feel like life's happening to you, a way to reframe it is it's happening for you.
Yeah. This is Jason. He texted me right when we started and I didn't reply because we started. He has no idea that we're doing a podcast.
Yes.
It's okay. That's why I didn't reply. Hey, Jason, that's Brandon.
Yes. This is live. No.
I know. I love it. It is live.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So I feel like we could sit here and talk for the next like 17 hours.
Yeah.
It'd be tough for me to get 17 hours out of me.
It's just your life's fascinating, and we just.
Well, I realized I rambled a lot. Sorry,
No,
I kind of took over.
No.
No apologies necessary.
Is there anything else that you feel like you want to share? I mean, obviously, we're going to
Actually,
have a link to
I'll
it.
ask a question. Is there anybody you're excited to see?
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Here?
Here.
Oh, my goodness. So, fun fact, Frank gave me a lot of autonomy in helping to develop the whole lineup. And so every presenter is amazing.
You're like,
and from the minute I got here, I've just run into my friends. Like Jason, he's speaking, Brandon's speaking. And like we were saying, some of these people are people nobody's ever heard of, but they have a lot of value.
Yes.
And so I'm so thrilled. Like I'm not even gonna name one person because there's so many amazing people. But what I will say is our keynote tomorrow is Dr. Craig Bryan. I've never met him. I read his book, Rethinking Suicide, and I really liked it because he took everything that everybody was saying and he threw it out the door. And he said that we need to engage in productive stupidity.
Okay.
And in that, what he's saying is, so we talked about how suicide rates are going up. And it's true. Since 2000, the suicide rate in the United States is up 40%. Every day in the United States, more people die by suicide than the day before. Like that's been the data and the trend. And he's been researching suicide. He was an Air Force psychologist. He's so passionate about this. The light just went off. I don't know if that means that thing died. No, never mind. Sorry. He's so passionate about it. And he says, what we're doing is not working. So at what point do we admit that what we're doing isn't correct and engage in productive stupidity? And that's where he talks about suicide being a wicked problem. We're so desperate for suicide to be a conventional problem. Here is the problem. Here's the solution. It's solved. But he explains it's not a conventional problem. We have a bias towards wanting to have everything be like linear and conventional, but suicide's not a conventional problem. It's a wicked problem. There's multiple causes, and with that, there's multiple solutions.
yes.
And so he proposes these ideas. So he really just shifted the whole thought process because before him, it was suicide is a result of mental health disorders. If we get people to not feel that they have to hide mental health, and if we, erase the stigma, then we will, get everybody to see a mental health clinician and we will prevent every suicide. But he says, yes, mental health is important and having therapists are really important, but not everybody who dies by suicide has a diagnosis of a mental health disorder. And he talks about people going through major life stressors. How do we reach those people? And then he shows the data where less than 20% of people who died by suicide saw a mental health clinician the year before they died. So if we put all of our eggs in the mental health clinician basket, we're missing a big gap of people.
Yes.
So I'm excited for him just because, he's changing the game and he's saying things that like I would have been too afraid to say without being able to like have somebody else saying it, because it is such a touchy topic. You have to communicate correctly when you communicate about this. So
he's very brave, and
he is,
like
but
you
he can
are.
back himself up though, because he has a PhD, he's done the work. So he can do it. I can't do it. He can do it, but I can say it and then cite him when I say it. Yeah.
Super excited.
We
Super
stand
awesome
on the shoulders of others before us. And
Yeah. And Jason, who just walked up, he is not refined. He's not a presenter, but he's one of our North Carolina peer supporters. And the first time I met him when he came to our class, he was like, "Hi, my name's Jason. I'm an alcoholic." And he explained how before he became a firefighter, he got arrested for drunk driving, and then he got sober. And he's been sober ever since. So after being a firefighter for years, he joined the peer support team, and he has miraculously helped so many first responders in my state find sobriety. No other peer supporter has helped the number of people that he has helped. And I don't know how he does it, because it's difficult. It's so hard, especially helping people with substance use disorder. But somehow Jason is able to connect with people and support people and not give up on people. And he's like a miracle worker. So this is his first conference that he'll be speaking at. And
oh, wow.
yeah, so I'm super excited for him.
Very exciting. Yeah, well, I mean, living proof that you can do it. You can have this
Hey, Jason.
life.
We're going to let him make a bit of an appearance.
Yes.
You have to make an appearance because we just talked about you. So you got to walk back here. Yeah.
Instead of
I know it's on camera. Yeah, that's where you walk right there.
Here, I'm going to give you.
Yeah.
Where am I going?
This is Jason. I just talked all about you.
Hi, and look over there.
Hello. How are you? Hi, I'm Jason Palmentier. Nice to meet you.
Here, come sit down.
What am I going?
Right here.
Oh, hey. So what are y'all talking about?
So she just asked me who I was excited to hear speak, and I told her about you, the number of first responders in our state who you've helped, and I to this day have no idea how you do it, but you do it, and you do it really well. And this is your first conference that you're speaking at.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah,
it's going to be awesome. I'm so excited, and I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to talk about you tomorrow, but I just want to say, Dena, my very good friend Dena, has not only been a good friend, she has been a mentor and an inspiration for me to use my story to help other people that are just needing help. It's but what better way to have a rough past than to use it for good in the future?
That's literally what we've been talking about, is how our pain leads to greatness.
Because the most interesting people to me have got dirt under their fingernails. Yep. A little bit dirty. That's all right.
Amen to that.
So, that's right.
Anyways, I'm going to get off your
That
lap
was
right
perfect.
now. All right. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you guys. Too.
Thank you. I'm Amy Chapman.
Good to meet you, Amy.
Hi, Greg. Nice to meet you,
Greg,
Jason.
nice to meet you.
We'll get connected to him.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. And so is Brandon over there.
Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
have so many great people here.
Yeah, we're gonna.
We're spoiled. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we're like kids in a candy shop or whatever the hell.
great.
Yeah.
version of a candy shop.
But yeah, Jason also has, he shares his story in my book.
Okay.
Perfect. Speaking of the book, how do we, obviously I found the book. How do other people find it?
I'm happy you found the book, by the way. Did you have this before you got here?
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool. Thank you.
why
And it's
So you-
bookmarked.
maybe
Bookmarked
you
in
can-
different
And it's
spots.
bookmarked. Yeah, I was
Maybe
wondering
you-
if Frank gave it to you or if you already had it.
Maybe you can have her sign it.
I would absolutely sign it.
That's a lovely thing to do.
So Fire Engineering sells this book. If you use Ali 25, you can get it for 25% off. It's an expensive book because Fire Engineering is a very expensive publisher.
Yeah.
But with that, it is 3 books in one. It's almost 400 pages. So yes, it's an expensive book, but this is an incredible resource. I used to feel guilty when I said the book is expensive, but I realized it's not just a story.
It's a textbook.
It's a textbook,
Yes.
but it has story throughout. So it's a dumbed down textbook, and it's a resource. It's a significant resource to help people. So I'm not going to dumb down the value anymore.
No.
So you can get it at Fire Engineering. The shipping from them is expensive. So Amazon also has it, but you can't get the discount. But sometimes it's cheaper to just get it at Amazon than to add the shipping to it, unless you're buying other books.
Okay.
And then I have some here, which there's no shipping if you're here.
Yeah.
Like for
Awesome.
I got you, and I can sign it
me.
while we're here for free.
Awesome. Well, I have thousands of questions, but we don't have thousands of hours to
We
talk
think
about
we'll maybe
it.
have her back on, right?
Yeah.
But just do it remotely where you're at home or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome.
Because the whole reason of the podcast is obviously we've got the movie that
Yeah,
opens up these
super
conversations about the
excited.
blind side, but we want to expand on these conversations and have more in-depth stuff. I'd like to talk more about peer support, specifically how people can utilize it outside the fire service, right? Or how that works and how the basis of it works. I mean, we want to talk about, we're going to talk about sleep at some point in time. We've got stuff about nutrition. We've got stuff about all of the things that the fire service is dealing with, but we want to bring it to other people and let them understand oh, when that fire truck drives by, lights and sirens, that's really cool. Hi guys. Or if we're out playing pickleball, we're not wasting your tax dollars. We are exercising and we're at play.
That's right. No, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love pickleball, by the way.
Yes.
I got tendonitis from it. But what I will say, on to that point, yes, this is a book for first responders because it's written by a first responder. But the greatest thing I learned in all of my research and everything is we're no different than anybody else. So I wrote it from my perspective as a first responder, but I think anybody can get value in it. And when I first got involved with first responder mental health and peer support, it was all about what makes us unique and what are our solutions. But then what I realized is we're not that unique.
We're human beings.
And every single one of us, and I'm thinking about Jason, I'm thinking about Brandon, myself, our struggles weren't because of the calls or the job per se. It was part of the human condition. People are not just mean in the fire service. They're mean everywhere. People having imposter syndrome or trying to fit in. That's not just the fire service. People, like we talked about Jason, he dealt with substance use disorder before the fire service. Brandon talks a lot about adverse childhood experiences. So the solutions are not just solutions for first responders. It's all people.
They're universal.
Yeah, and suicide is not just affecting first responders. That's why it really annoys me when we make ourselves out to be victims and say we're 3 times more likely to die by suicide and nobody should see what we see, because suicide is a public health crisis affecting everybody.
That's right.
Everybody's struggling. Everybody's losing people. And we as first responders actually have more protective factors than most people. We have good sense of purpose in the work that we do. We have pretty good relationships. Like, I mean, I just had Jason sit on my lap. Had Frank, episode 1, several
Video
episodes
bomb.
ago,
Video
was
bomb.
mean to me. We have relationships. We have purpose. We have the best insurance. And Craig Bryan talks about how quality of life affects suicide. And I think any of us, when we think about times when we were financially stressed, that stress made us like really unstable. So we are not victims. We are some of the healthiest people, and we have the healthy worker effect. We don't just hire, everybody. We hire people that have this level of ability and resilience. We pass these tests. So yeah, I do get tired of us putting ourselves out there as victims, because I think we take for granted all that we have that's great in the work that we do. I can't remember, I was talking to a cop earlier, and it was really funny because one of the things that they joked and remind me, they're like, no, it was a paramedic. He was on the plane coming here, and he was like, yeah, y'all get to cook and sleep. We just run calls. So like we work out at work. We go shopping and we cook together and we eat together and get paid to do that. And I mean, it's pretty awesome. And people bring us stuff on holidays.
Yeah, unlike the police,
Yeah.
we're able to actually eat it because probably they're not trying to kill us.
No, like they bring us lots of stuff.
Like,
So yeah,
literally, like we've had officers be like, "You guys have all the good food here." We're like, "You can have whatever you want," because they have to throw theirs away.
Really? They
Yeah.
can't.
yeah.
And there are some places that I get food from that maybe I would throw it away
Yeah,
too.
it's questionable.
Yeah.
I mean, what I think is just stunning is that when I learned about everything that you guys, are experiencing in terms of just line of duty deaths and the causes of them, I was like, how am I finding this out? I didn't know anything about this. And so in my mind, it's like, well, we're going to like rescue those who rescue us. But like, there you go, you're rescuing again. And you're like, no, this is going to help everyone. And that's so true.
And everybody needs it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Learn more about the documentary at spokemovie.com.